Okay, we're recording. Okay, this is our Durwood King with Sampson Community College, and this is our introduction to PLCs class. This is our last night. This is exam night, so there's a number of people that won't be on the live session because they're in Moodle working on their exam, and so a lot of folks again may not be in the session tonight. And if you're watching the recording, we're going to check the last program or two of people that hadn't been checked for their traffic light program, and we're going to go over procedures on how to store your PLC program on an SD card, store to it, load from it, and also how to install firmware to a brand new PLC. So that's going to be included tonight, and then a little bit on security. So that's what's contained in tonight's recording. If you're just watching it, thanks for watching, and we're going to go straight to Roger and check his program now. Okay. Okay, Roger, how do we download this?
Communications through active Ethernet 1.
Well, your audio sounds a lot better tonight. What have you done different?
I turned down the fan, so I'm burning it up, and I'm leaning over into my mic, I guess. 130, 130.
You turned the fan off, huh?
I've turned it down.
Yeah.
I'm in the kitchen, and we don't have any heat or cooling in here.
Okay.
Download.
Yeah. You got your fan that's helping to push some AC around?
Yeah, normally it'd be in my room, but I decided it was a little bit better in here because I'm sitting right next to the Wi-Fi. And after I get done with online courses this semester, I'm going to take the cord out and probably just go ahead and replace the Cat 5.8E cord cable.
Yeah.
And we're going to move it into closer to my room and Mom's room.
That's what I did. I went hardwired with mine, and it really helped. It did.
No, we're going to move the actual Wi-Fi mess and then run cable.
Yep. That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I think it was where they were pitting it. We put it in the ground probably where it's having an issue.
You think the issue is what now?
I think it's probably the cable itself, the Cat 6, Cat 5 cable. I think where it's buried in the ground, there might be a short or something. Is why it's sort of kind of sketchy.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
So I'll try to fix that. And
you're going to run a new cable. So in other words, you got an Ethernet cable that's buried?
It's buried where it comes into up under our house. Yeah, it was something we did by ourselves because we were doing something with the underpinning.
But I wonder, is that cable, is it direct burial cable though? Is it
Probably not
buried?
I think what it was is it was probably tucked up under there, and when we're doing something with the house, we probably took it off, buried it in mess. But when we redo it, we're gonna put it through the attic.
Yeah, or if you did it under the house, I'd put it in some conduit, you know.
I'm not doing it in the house. I got about 6 inches to a foot up under there, and all kinds of spiders.
Yeah.
All dusty.
You sure got a good signal tonight. You were loud and clear tonight. That's a whole lot better than what it was.
Yeah. I hope we get a good signal.
Yeah.
I unplugged everything else except the Wi-Fi too.
Do what now?
I unplugged all the other cords that were leading to other parts of the house too.
Okay.
So it'd just be on Wi-Fi.
Okay, so this is your program running here. Do you see the camera and the screen logic?
Yes, sir.
There goes your north-south lane there. We're going slowing down. Stop. Now your east and west Sunset Avenue is running right now. So that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Slowing down. Then it switches. So this is the basic, the fundamentals of a traffic intersection. There's more to it. You got pressure pads that knows whenever a vehicle's there, and that affects the sequencing of it. And you got pedestrian push buttons that they can go up to a pole and hit a button if they got a crosswalk there, like they do on Sunset now in a couple of places.
Yeah. So
all that stuff are going to be also inputs that we don't have here. If you notice here on this program, there's no inputs. There's no physical inputs. It just runs. It's just running continuous based off of that cycle timer.
In other words, this would be like some small towns, one stoplight in the whole town, right?
Yeah, basically something like that. That maybe an older one that didn't have pressure pads and no inputs. Yeah. And you just got the basic fundamentals of the intersection there. In that, mm-hmm. You've got the heart of it right here with this program that only allows one lane to go at a time. But you just, you would, in real life, you would be including other inputs, pressure pads in both lanes, and then maybe some push buttons for pedestrians. So that's.
So would the pressure pads speed up or slow down the cycle?
Well, your pressure pads would be telling the program, when a vehicle is there, and I haven't seen the logic to know exactly how it's manipulating that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I haven't looked into it. I haven't done any searching on that to see exactly how they're doing it, but I'm sure the logic's going to be more involved than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be more involved, than this. I know. I know when you come off the Faircloth Freeway to get on 24, like if you're going from my house down here by the prison camp up going toward Lowe's, when you get off the freeway off that ramp there, almost all the time that red light stays red way too long. Most of the time I have to actually take a ride on red.
Yeah, I mean I actually got a chance to do it on yellow today. I feel special.
Yeah, but have y'all noticed that it's almost always red, and you almost never get a green light coming out of there. So,
and you see people pulling out there like it's a green light because there ain't nobody coming.
Nobody coming, and then to me that program needs to be tweaked. It needs to be fine tuned. It's not really set up ideal in my opinion. So you'd have to come up with some smart logic in there that just said if there's no traffic coming for X amount of time. In other words, you'd have to say if that pressure pad, if it's say normally open and if it opens up and there's no traffic there, you'd have to have a timer set that if that pad stayed open for X amount of time, go ahead and flip the sequence for the other, for the north-south exit ramp, which would be us, to be able to go ahead and go. It would have to be. You'd have to have some other logic in there that would change the sequence. That would go ahead and flip it over. So, it would have anyway. We could get into it. There's just not time. This is the last night of the class. Yeah. But if you ever worked for DOT, you would be involved in stuff like that. And they got crews that do it. So there are a few people around that's kind of what they got into is controls for highway systems and all. So. Probably not a lot of people in it, but yeah. a few, and it's a really important job for whoever's got it. So
I was looking into what I wanted to do a little bit last night, and I was thinking about working on airplanes and mess in the Air Force. It looked fun.
Really?
Yeah, work on electrical systems, see if I could get that job, that is.
That's something I kind of wished I had done when I was taking electronics back in the 80s. I sort of wish that maybe I had went in the military when I got out of high school, but I didn't have.
Yeah.
My priorities were not. I wasn't thinking real mature when I got out of high school, so yeah. I didn't make that kind of a decision then, like I could have. But
I hope I can get in.
I hope you can too, because they would, they really look out for you. They'll pay for your education, and they'll,
Insurance too.
you could save a lot of money, and they take care of you while you're learning and advancing in the field. So.
Did I miss anything last Thursday? Because my internet was real bad. I think it was Thursday, right?
All we did, we ran programs the whole night.
Okay, so we didn't learn anything new.
I don't remember any. Well, we went through explaining. Do you understand these instructions? Let me ask you that before you do the exam.
For the most part, less than or equal to, greater than, less than.
Yep. Basically, in a nutshell, that top line is a self-resetting timer that has an exam and off on there that's made originally, and it lets that timer advance until it hits the preset of 24 seconds.
Yeah, basically, it's a timer that's got certain events to happen at certain times.
Right. The time base for the intersection, the time base for it is the accumulated value of the timer as it moves, and it constantly moves. When it hits 24 seconds and the done bit comes on, then it opens up that contact over there, which causes the accumulator to go back to 0, and then the done bit goes false. And when it does, then this contact recloses, and it lets that timer climb again up toward 24 seconds. So it always climbs to 24, resets, and climbs to 24 with no outside influences at all. So in that line, in real life, in that line, would be influenced by some other things, some real inputs like pressure pads, push buttons on pedestrian poles, so
that's how you can make a self-resetting system.
Yeah, a self-resetting system is by letting the done bit reset it once it reaches the preset.
Okay, I understand.
So it'll climb up, reset, and it's just going to do that all the time because we don't have any real inputs that would interrupt it, like in real life it would be. But one thing I've noticed already now with 2 exams I've looked at, there people are maybe not understanding completely these blocks here. Let me explain one more time. That block that says less than means this. When source A is less than source B, whatever source A is, you can make it be a timer, you can make it be a fixed number. It could actually, it could be a counter, it could be anything. And then source B really could be anything, but here it's just a fixed number of 12 seconds. So all we're saying here is that as the timer climbs, if source A, if the accumulated on that timer is less than B, if it's less than 12 seconds, then that block is true, and it's like a switch that makes that block becomes a true block, and then it makes that red light come on. So if you notice right now, it's less than 12,000, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's true. But you watch it when it hits 12,000, that red light goes out. You see it, it went out.
Yep.
So it's over 12,000 now, over 12 seconds.
So in other words, just comparing the first number to the second number.
It is. The first number, if the first number is less than the second number, then that less than block is true, and it acts like a push button that makes it when it's less than 12,000.
So in other words, it'd be like source A is less than source B.
Right. That's the exact way you have to look at it. And as long as A is less than B, then the output will be on. And then the LEQ, kind of tell me, what do you think is true there?
Less than or equal to.
Right. So here it's slightly different than less than. It's less than or equal to. The one above it is not equal to, it's only less than.
So how does that affect? Oh, it's because the other ones are also are compared to 8,000. Okay, I got you.
Well, see, the 8,000 is a fixed number that just happens to be a timing point that whoever wrote the program,
the
timing point that they picked for safety reasons for those lights to be for the timing of the lights, so that you don't have people running into each other at the intersection. You know.
So in other words, you always have a light on, sort of, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
And that block would be true if the timer is less than or equal to 8,000 or 8 seconds.
Yeah, because if you just had less than there, the light would actually disappear whenever it's changing over to the next one. There'd be a small amount of time when there's actually no light at all.
Right. Could be. That may be the case there. Yeah. And so, and then the next one, how would you explain that?
It's got to be greater than and less than. It's got to be greater than 8,000 and less than 12,000. So that's how they decide where it's at in between the, like, that's how it orders what's happening.
It is.
It's sectioning off the time.
Well, then you have a total cycle timer of the whole intersection of 24.
It's 24 seconds. So
it
that's
goes,
like 8 seconds to 12 seconds, and then 12 seconds to 24 seconds, or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. So you're looking at a window of time with these when you're saying that you have to be above 8 seconds, but less than 12 seconds for that.
So in other words, that's the beginning and end, basically. Whenever greater than or less than.
It gives you a window of time in there, and that's your starting and ending point of the window, when the output's going to be on.
Okay.
And so basically what they've done is they took compare statements and created a sequencer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a sequencer, basically you've got basically a handmade sequencer here. It's not a true sequencer, but it's actually doing a sequencer function, you know.
All right.
And it's something that visibly you can see the starting and ending points of every line real easy. You know, it's a good way to do something like this.
That's sure kind of how the PLC functions, but much slower, right? How it goes line by line and does each thing one at a time. Similar.
Say that again.
How the PLC executes commands one after another, but never mind. It don't make sense.
Well, really, if you look at the scan time here, these timers are running. The 12,000 is 12,000 milliseconds. So the increments of the timer it's actually ticking in the increments of milliseconds or thousandths of a second. But you got 12,000 in there, so it's really a total of 12-second period you're looking at right there.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that seems to be moving along slow. But if we go over and look at the scan time of the PLC, of how quick it scans the entire program each time,
be a few milliseconds.
Go under task over here, and you hit main task and right click, and go properties, and look under monitor. Then you can look at your scan time. So the last scan time was, do you see those numbers changing?
Yeah. So
0.037 milliseconds was the last scan time, which was like 37 microseconds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 0.037 milliseconds and you move the decimal point over 3 places to the right, it converts milliseconds into microseconds. So a complete scan of that entire program, one scan of it, only takes,
not even a millisecond.
Roughly, 30, 40, 50, 60 microseconds, or 0.037 milliseconds, way less than a millisecond. So, but the highest scan time it's had was actually 2 whole milliseconds up here. That's the maximum scan time that's been recorded of this program. And,
so it actually has exceeded the max at the bottom?
Well, interval times elapsed between triggers.
Oh, okay.
So that would be maximum time between triggers. And then the watchdog the watchdog is under configuration. It's actually set for 500 milliseconds. You see that?
Okay, gotcha.
So that watchdog is extremely way higher than the actual running time or scan time of a small program. Like this is a small program compared to some places. You know, I've seen hard copy printouts of programs that were like this thick, that were like 500 lines.
About that.
And so the scan time on a 500 line program is going to be, you know, considerably longer than that 0.037 milliseconds for one scan cycle. But that time is what you looked at in your book that said you got 4 steps of the scan cycle. It checks your inputs, it evaluates the logic, executes the logic, updates the outputs, and then it does communication with say the laptop or any other external devices like touch screens that are hooked up. It does all of that in 0.037 milliseconds. It did a 4-step scan cycle, you know, in that short of time, and it just does it continuously over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows you how quick the actual CPU is running. It's running like really fast. Yeah.
Well, Durwood, I like to sit here and talk to y'all all night, but I got 2 tests I need to take tonight.
You've got to get an exam, so you better. Yes, sir.
I got to get 2 exams done tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you make 100.
All right.
Thank you for taking the class.
Hey, Durwood.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Durwood, I was going to tell you on that email you sent about the those questions that nobody could see.
Yeah.
All you got to do is scroll that box over a little bit.
Oh, really? So you can
where you put your answer at. Where you put your answer at, you can move that box up where you can see the whole thing. I figured that out when I was taking it today.
Wow. All right, now tell us real slow what you did, because you're the first one to figure it out now.
Okay, what it is, you know, the box where you write your answer in.
Yep.
There's a spot down there on the right-hand bottom side of that box that you could move the box to make it smaller.
You can make the box smaller.
You can make the box smaller.
Okay.
So you can see what you want, and that way you can still type, and it'll just make the box bigger as you type.
Wow. We can take a look. Does anybody want to take a look at that now? I can do a screen sharing and go try that now. I didn't even know that would have been an issue with anybody. It's got something.
Yeah, because I had the same problem, but then I thought about that.
Well, I feel better now. We'll try that right now. I'm going to do that on screen share, and that way, if anybody is anybody else having any problems with the exam, with seeing anything? Nathan, did you have any issues with being able to see the program and then the answer box? He may be away from the computer right now, but we can take a look at it right now. I see Mason is in. Mason, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Pretty good. Are you working on the exam, or do you have any questions about anything?
Yeah, I'm taking it right now.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Good, great. I'll do a screen share right now. I'm gonna get our screen share looking at Moodle, and I want to try what Eric was saying there. I want to see that, and that way you can see it if you have any issues toward the end, later on in the exam, toward the last, when you get into the 40s, like 42, 43, and all in there toward the end. That's where if you had any problems, it would be in that area in there. So let me get that visible up here. Okay. Go back to, let's see, go back on here. Okay, do y'all see the welcome mat on my screen?
Yes.
You do? Okay. So if I go down to the exam, and I have to hit preview to be able to go through and look at it. So if I scroll way on down toward the end,
You ain't even got to do that. All you got to do is tap on 40.
okay. So right now, you're saying, Eric, do y'all see that box over there, the answer box?
Now go to your bottom right hand side. You see where that is?
Yeah.
You can scroll that up.
Wow.
See how you can short.
Man, you are a genius, Eric. Do y'all see that?
I learned it on my
See that
own.
moving right there? Does everybody see that moving right there?
Oh, that. I mean, I knew you could do that. I thought you were talking about the little
When
bars and mess at the top. I thought that's what you were talking about.
But look, Eric, whenever you did that affect your view of this logic over here?
Yeah, it made you where you could see it. Because some of this, what it happens, that logic, right where the CTU and the CTD is,
Yep.
Our box is hidden over that. So if you sit there and scroll up the box, make it smaller, you can see it then.
So when you're doing this right here, when you make it smaller, then all of a sudden you can see the rest of the logic. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. That's a new one on me. But I apologize that some of y'all are dealing with that. If you hear anything that's not clear at all, just let me know. Let me know. I'm sticking around the whole evening. I mean, I can be here on here to midnight if we need to be, and to make sure that you've got a fair chance to see everything correctly. So if you're watching and doing the exam, that's something you may have to do. A Mason and whoever else is on now, that resizing that box could be the answer. And I can see where that could work. If you made it like really small up in there, then of course that would I see how that right there, because there's a little bit of overlap there. But what has happened is when I sized that graphic over there to the left, when I sized it, I kept shrinking the size of it until I could see it 100% on my laptop. But evidently now my laptop has got a different pixel resolution or something from some of y'all's, so that you're not getting the identical view I'm getting. And I never knew that was going to be a problem. I just assumed that because it was clear on my end, and it would be clear on everybody else's end. It was something I really couldn't foresee. But with Jamie, for instance, I didn't know to tell him that over there. I didn't even notice that. I wish I had known, but I didn't. But I appreciated, Eric, that you brought that out. Yeah, I see you can even shorten it that way, and even back down. So that's good news right there. That's good news. So thank you. I'll know that'll be something that that's going to be a lifesaver for some people right there, I believe. So yeah, and it's strange how things like that can happen. When you try as hard as you can to make something clear and easy to read, and then even then you can have problems that you've just never seen in your life. So, this is the first time I've ever done this PLC class online. I've never done it online. And last semester was the first time I'd ever done an online class at all. I taught motor controls. We were part the way through the semester, and in the middle of it, we had to switch over online when the virus hit. And so we started a class in January, and then about midway through we had to switch over. And so motor controls was that was my first experience trying to get Moodle set up and all. So it's a learning curve for all of us, for me and you and everybody. So, okay. So that's good information there. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, that's great. Really great.
No problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The only question I noticed I got wrong so far now I relook at it, it's too late now, is my, what is it? Hold on. I'll tell you in a minute.
A lot of these questions I've got to manually grade them because they're essay questions, and I didn't have enough time to make an automatic grading test. It would have took me a whole lot longer time to put a lot of multiple choice in there. That would have been a challenge. You know what I mean? I didn't have time to sit there and think it out. I mean, I created the exam over the weekend. I mean, it was done. It was done this last weekend. So,
right. And
it was done differently than a regular exam. The regular exam would have covered way more chapters. So this exam had to be done totally from scratch. Basically, it was done from some worksheets, and then I had to get some highlights for some labs, and that's basically how I created the exam over the weekend based on everything that y'all did do. So, but it's okay. I mean, I think, do y'all feel like it's a fair exam?
Oh yeah, I did.
Good, great. Yeah. So what?
Even though I missed something. You'll see it, and I feel dumb. I feel dumb now that I put it like that.
It's okay. It's all right.
You'll see what I'm talking about when you grade it.
Yep. I'll start on them maybe sometime tonight. It all depends on kind of who needs help and all that. If it gets real quiet late tonight, real quiet, I'll start grading them.
Now, are we doing anything else tonight, or is that all you're going to do is help people tonight?
I'm going to cover how to store a program to the SD card, store to it, and then load from it. The memory card that's right in here.
Yeah.
That blue SD card. You see that in the camera?
Yeah. Yep.
Go over how to store a program from the internal memory in the PLC. There's flash memory inside of here. This permanent non-volatile memory. The newer ones don't have batteries in them. The older ones have batteries, like this older one over here.
Right.
That
I remember
PLC
that.
there does have a battery in it. I can show you how to replace the battery in that compact logics. That PLC there was from around 2012 when I got it, and so it's got a lithium battery in the side compartment of that CPU. In that left compartment, we can slide that out. I can show you how to replace that battery. But the main thing, the newer ones have built-in flash memory inside permanent. They don't have to have a battery. But then you've got the SD card. If you push it, and that card comes out like that, you see that? That's like a card that you use in a digital camera. It's just real thin, like that.
Yeah.
So this can be an external memory that actually stays in that slot there, just in case if the PLC gets corrupted. If the flash memory gets corrupted by a spike or lightning or something, or if somebody does something wrong on the laptop and they do something wrong and delete the program, you can have the program stored on that little card there, and do an easy restore, like load from this SD card back into your non-volatile memory in here. So you can store from the non-volatile into this SD, which is also non-volatile. That's store to it, and then you can load from the SD back into your non-volatile in here. You can store to and then load from. And then right here on the side, there's a lock. There's a lock switch on here. The little white, you see that little white button there?
Yeah.
On the side, that switch, you see where it says
That
the word,
doesn't. Yeah.
it
That's
says
so
the
you
word
can't
lock.
override.
You see where it says the word lock out on there?
Yeah.
So right now, you know, if you slide it, if the arrow is to the left, if I slide it to the left, then you lock it. So if I do that, if I slide that over that way and click it over, it's in the lock position now. Can you make that out?
Yeah.
Get it in it. Now I can get it with a different background, but you see the white, that white tab, it's over to the left now. I slid it over. So once you store the information on there, then you can lock it so nobody can actually override it and get rid of that.
Right.
Just to accidentally slip it over to the other side.
Right. But right now, let's go over how, unless anybody needs help with anything else. If anybody needs help with an exam, we're going to stop right that second, okay?
Well, Durwood, I'm going to sort of kind of hop off here, and I'll catch this later. I'm going to go ahead and do the exam. Is that fine?
Yes, sir. Rick. Yep. I'm recording, so you can. I'll send the link directly to your email.
All right.
So you won't have to get in Moodle to see it.
Yeah. Hey,
Because you might not be able to get in Moodle tomorrow. I don't know when the cutoff's going to be for that.
quick question. When do classes start for next semester? Roundabout's fine.
It's let me give you an exact date from mine. I believe it's August the 18th.
All righty. I was just, 17, 18, depending on which class it is. Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah. Now, see, I'm gonna put the card back into here. If y'all see, I'm sliding it back in here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going right back in the slot there. Goes in, and then it actually locks into place whenever you push it. You push all the way in, and it locks. And if you want to release it, you push again, and it ejects. Comes partly out, so it's actually free to remove. There's a spring in there, and if you want it locked in, push it, and it actually locks in. And don't forget about the mode switch that you have. It's run in the top position, remote in the center, and then program on the bottom. If you see the three position switch right there, y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
I've got it in remote right now, but that way you can actually change. You can actually do it. You can actually flip that switch. You can flip this switch remotely from the laptop if you leave it in remote there. It lets you actually go from run is the up position, program is a down position. But if you leave it, it's called hard program and hard run. Hard run's up, hard program is down. And when you're in hard run or hard program, you can't flip the mode from the laptop. You have to come out physically and change that switch. But if you go to the center position and leave it in REM for remote, then you can actually change the mode. You can change the mode from run to program from the laptop. It makes this switch switchable from the laptop. You know, you can go and change those modes remotely. Okay. So, does anybody have any other questions before I start to show you the procedure on how to store to and load from the SD card? I want to do that and then show you how to load firmware to a brand new controller when you get it out of the box. Okay. So at any point, if anybody needs help with an exam, just say the word and I will stop. Right on the dime, I'll put the brakes on and I will not linger, okay? Because your exam is number one, okay? So since nobody's got any other questions, we'll cover the SD card and then we'll do firmware. And then I'll show you the small amount I know about as far as the security features. I can show you what I do know so far about it. And I sent y'all some documents, and there's a lot to it, it would be for our next class. At some point in the future, I want to teach ELC 228 PLC applications. I've got plans for it. I don't have the whole class developed, but I've got an outline for it. And it was suggested for me to do it at some point. but we've got to have someone to cover the basic classes I teach so I can teach that one, you know. So anyway, it'll open up at some point in the future that we can get into to things like the security features, and then things like this panel view plus. This is a touch screen. Do y'all see this device I'm holding in my hand here?
Yes, sir.
This is a panel view that it connects by way of Ethernet or USB or serial. It has ports on here for communication. You can go from Ethernet to a network switch and let this here actually be the push buttons. You create push buttons on that screen, and it replaces most of your physical push buttons on the machine. It could replace all of your buttons except for the e-stop. The e-stop is never on here. You always have a real hardwired e-stop that can really knock out the power to the whole PLC if you need to. So
Right.
this is and I had planned on including this tonight, but there's not time. There's not time to get into it with the limitations of our time. So anyway, but this is something that'll be for a future class, and so that would be in the ELC 228 class. So there's things online. There's videos on YouTube that give you basics on these things. And what I may do if I can get time will be to do a basic recording on this and send to you on how do you save a program, how do you put a program in it that's already written, and then how do you get a program upload from it back to your laptop if you want to either download to it or upload from it. So I'll try to work down the end another day and get that video out to you. I'll try to do that if I can get time to do it. And you would at least see how to download to it in an existing program that had already been written. To write programs on this thing, it would have to be another whole class because it's another software package called Factory Talk Studio View. It's a whole other software package that I can give you access to. And but you know, there's a lot to creating those buttons on there and linking them through Ethernet to your PLC. So it's pretty time consuming. There's just not time for this class to get into it, but my hope is to get that other class set up in the future and offer it and contact you to take it. So anyway, so I'm gonna put the webcam. I'm going to focus the webcam on the LEDs on the processor, so that when we go to transfer the program from your non-volatile in here out to there and then back the other way, you'll see the way the LEDs act. That it's going to be you can tell by the LED the way they are whether it's actually finished doing the transfer or not. That's one of the keys, one of the clues. So let me get the camera position. Give me a second to get it positioned on a mic clip up here and get it positioned right that you can see this. So right now, do you see those lights pretty good?
Yes, sir.
You're seeing the SD card that's in position, the mode switch, and can you read the run, the force, the IO, and OK, and NS network status? NS is network status. Link 1 is the Ethernet cable, the blue Ethernet cable that's here. So this is actually link 1. When you see link 1 blinking, it's actually communicating out of that cable. If I have the other Ethernet connection plugged in, the rear one, that's the front one here. The rear one is another Ethernet that lets you just daisy chain Ethernet over to something else. It will be link 2 lit up.
Okay.
Link 1 is your front port. Link 2 is your back port. It says 2 here. Tells you whether port 2 is actually communicating with something else, which in real life you could have the second Ethernet port going to a panel view like this. that touch screen. You know, you could have it going, that panel view plus, because it also has Ethernet connections right here. See that?
Right.
So it would be an Ethernet connection to that panel view plus there, to that touch screen. So I'll do my best to get you a short video on how to upload and download to the panel view. And so anyway, is this view okay?
Yeah, it is for me.
That's pretty clear. Okay. And you can also see the port there for the USB port. It will plug into for firmware after we do this part. So I'm going to do a screen share of the software package. Now, so you're seeing, do you still see the camera plus the logic?
Yes.
Okay, now, so here's what you do if you're going to store the information from the non-volatile memory in the PLC out to the SD card. Here's what you do. You want to go up here to the remote run switch. Do y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
You want to be online with the PLC to do this, online, but you want to open that up and go into program mode. Now, I haven't had you go in program mode yet specifically, but you want to go in program mode and say yes. And so you're online, but you're in program mode, and you notice the program's not actually functioning right now. You see it's
Right.
not actually moving. The timer's not changing. But in program mode, it actually causes the CPU to stop scanning. And it turns all the outputs off, even though that's lit. If you look physically on the machine, there's no outputs on. Physically on the machine, if I move the camera over, you see the lights over here, none of the lights are on. Do you see that?
Yep.
So
Right.
physically, you know, all the outputs are turned off. This output card, there's no lights
Basically,
on here. Say that again.
So basically, it does a force stop.
It's a forced stop, it is. It puts it in a mode that you can actually do program changes. And so let's see, let me change the triangle. Now, is that looking okay there?
Yes, sir.
Now, so you go in program mode first, like we are now, remote program, and then watch carefully. You go over here at the top of your controller organizer where it says controller traffic lights. And that's going to be the name of your project, whatever that is. If it's going to be sequence control or traffic lights, but this is where the controller organizer starts. You want to right click on that and hit properties. Does everybody see the properties box?
Yep.
Everybody does. So then the next step is you want to go under non-volatile memory. Controller properties, non-volatile memory. Click that tab. And this is telling you about the SD card if you have one in there. If you have it right now, you have an image that's actually on that card right now of Connor's 3 motor starter program. Okay. Now you got an option here of loading from the SD card or storing to it. Do y'all see that button there?
Yeah.
Now, when you hit it, then you get the option of which one are you going to do. All right. Do you see the new screen that says load from it or store to it?
Yep.
Up here, this is the controller. All right. So the controller's on the right side, and look, you can actually store from the controller to the SD card. The SD card is actually non-volatile also. So the internal memory in the PLC is non-volatile. It's like flash memory. And then the SD card is also non-volatile. So both are non-volatile, but the SD card gives you an external memory card just in case the internal gets corrupted for some reason. And it happens every now and then. So here, let's store the program. We're going to store it out to the SD card. So I'm going to hit, now when I hit store, then I want you to notice what happens in the camera at the LEDs. Let me get the camera actually closer. Or let me make sure that I've got a view that's clear. That's about as clear as you're going to get. If I go closer, it's going to get blurry. You see that?
Yep.
The distance, if you get closer than say 10 inches with that camera, the words are going to be blurry. You're not even going to be able to read that. So right now, you get an OK light for your I/O is OK, and you got your network status is fine, and then your Ethernet is actually working fine. You're not in run mode because you're in program mode, but everything's fine. Do you see the SD light right here? That LED that says SD.
Oh yeah.
Now you'll see that light up in just a minute. But I want you to see this plus the screen so that you can see the buttons I'm going to hit. Now, so if you watch, I'm going to hit store. Everybody ready?
Yep.
So do you see the button there?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to hit store. Now it says, consider the following before proceeding with the store. This controller is the coordinated system time master. Servo axes, if you have servos, you control it from it, or servos are motors that are super precise that can position like real accurate positions on those. So if you have servo motors that you're controlling, servo axes and synchronized controllers in this chassis or other chassis using SyncLink will be turned off. They're just telling you right now that any servos that are connected to it are going to be turned off. And all your communications to the controller will be lost during this workstation, including this workstation, and any communications bridged through this controller will be lost. So when I hit the button, it's going to bump me offline, and the only way you can tell what's going on is actually through these LEDs up here. That's why I've got the camera, and you're going to see the SD LED come on while it's actually transferring to the SD card. Right. When the SD light goes out, and then when you notice that it goes out, then that's going to be our sign that we can go back online again and see what happened. Okay. So it's getting ready to bump us offline, but watch these LEDs, watch it change. You're going to see it change. So you ready?
Yep.
Now I'm going to hit yes. Now you see the lights blinking? See them blinking?
Yeah.
So right now it's doing a transfer from the internal non-volatile out to the SD card. Now it's actually reboot. It's actually rebooting the PLC right now. It's rebooting in red. See it?
Yeah.
It says that the store operation. Do y'all see that message? The store operation is in progress. It could take several minutes to complete. You will be unable to reconnect until the store is complete. So I'm going to hit OK. And now we've been bumped.
Yeah, it's going through the cycle.
Well, we've been bumped off. Now you watch. You see the camera up in here. You see the lights changing again.
Yep.
So it's actually rebooting the PLC now.
Yeah, it's cycling through.
It's cycling through. And once the lights stabilize, then we can go back online again and see what it did. Okay, let's see if we can get back online with it now. I'm going to try getting back online. So from this point, from there, I'm going to hit OK. And see, it actually bumped me right out. It bumped me out. But I can go back under. If I go back under where it says offline and hit go online, and if it lets me back on, That's my sign that it finished. It had actually it finished the transfer to the SD card. You see that?
Yep.
So it let me on. You know, it let me back in. I'm in program mode. I can go run if I want to. I can go run, and it's back running again. You see it running?
Yep.
Now I'm going to go back to program mode again. Any questions up to this point?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to program. And let's go back into that controller properties, right click properties and non-volatile memory. And what do you see right down in here? You see,
I got a large one.
Do you see the date right there?
Yep, 7/7/2020 at 7:08.
So it's telling me that in the non-volatile memory in the SD card that it's got the traffic light program stored in there, and it was done today at 7:08 p.m. Y'all see that?
Yep. Yep.
So anytime you want to find out what's actually on the SD card, you go in here under that memory tab, non-volatile memory tab. It's going to tell you if there's anything on the SD card, what it is, and when it was actually put in there. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
And then if you wanted to actually secure it, you pull that card out, and that little white tab, you slide that tab over to lock. Remember that lock button, that lock slider that we had in there?
Yeah.
You would pull that out of there and slide it over to lock. Is there anybody that didn't see that part? Just for the heck of it, I'm gonna turn the I'm gonna pull the card back out. Okay, you can see up here. Now watch. I'm gonna push, and it ejected out some like that. I'm gonna pull it out, and like right here, you see where it says lock up here?
Yeah.
Now right now it's not in a lock position, but I'm gonna lock it. So right now, do you see how I moved that? It's in a lock position now. That little slider over there. So if I put it in lock position, then you're not going to be able to write on top of it. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if I try to do that. I'm going to put it back in there, locked like that, slide it right back in position. Lock it in, and let's see what happens if I try to actually write to it again. It should come up and tell me that it's not going to let that happen. So we're still in do y'all see the logic screen again?
Yep.
We're still in program mode, remote program. I'm going to right click on the controller, properties, non-volatile memory, go into load store. And if you look at here, the store is actually grayed out. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
So it won't even let you do it. It's actually grayed out. It knows that switch is actually flipped. So it's actually grayed out. It's not even going to let me try that. Now let's see what happens if I hit close. And I go back up here to the card again. I cut the screen off. I'm going to pull the card out again, push, pull it out like that. Now I'm going to slide that tab over this way. I'm going to unlock it. Okay. You see how it's over to the right now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's unlocked now. So let's put it back in. Push back in, it's locked. And I've heard that at Schindler, what was it? Dylan Ivey was telling me that what they do is on their PLCs, they have the SD card I think it's pre-programmed in the engineering department, and on a new escalator, they bring the SD card out, put it in, and then they'll transfer from that into here. And that's the way they do it whenever they do new installs, is they're actually got an SD card that's already set up in the engineering lab. And then guys like you that work there, they get that SD from an engineer, and then they take it out there, and the technician such as you would be the one to go in there and actually transfer it from here into the flash memory inside there. And you can actually make it actually boot from this into here automatically on every time it boots up. You got some settings in there that way. I can try to show you that. So let's go back into, do y'all see the logic screen again?
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to right click on traffic lights, properties, go back in non-volatile, and load store. Now store is actually a possibility, right? You see it?
Yep.
It's not grayed out. But now we're gonna go over loading from the SD card back into the PLC. That's the PLC. So we're gonna load from it back up to here, okay? And then under load image, look at this. User initiated means the only time it's going to load from the SD card into the PLC is when you initiate it. Everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Now you can change it, and you can say, I want to load from the SD card on power up, or I want to load from it on uninitialized memory, which I'm not familiar with that, but I have heard of on power up. You can make it to where every time that PLC powers up, it actually loads from that card back in, which that seems to be a pretty kind of unnecessary, but maybe in some cases it's not, you know. I don't know why you would want to do that, but yeah, you have an option of doing that. And here, uninitialized memory, that may be a case to where, if we hit help right here, if we're not sure about something, let's just hit help and see what that says. Do y'all see that screen there?
No, sir.
You don't. Let me hit stop share.
Nope.
When I hit the help button, how about now? Do you see the help screen now?
Yeah, it says non-volatile memory load store dialog box.
Right. So this came up when I hit the help button. Where your options were on when do you want to load from the SD card. So if you go under load image, the condition under which the image stored in the non-volatile is loaded back into controller memory on corrupt memory. Load the image when the controller has lost the project and you turn on or cycle power on the chassis. If you're using a battery on the controller, a load occurs only if the battery has failed to maintain the project during the power loss. Now this one doesn't have a battery, but the older one I have here does. You can load on power up. It loads the image when you turn on or cycle power. If you're using a battery on the controller, a load occurs even if the battery has maintained during loss of power. User initiated, which is what we're doing, it only loads through Logic's Designer application or Studio 5000. It loads when you tell it to. Load mode. The mode the controller enters upon loading non-volatile memory. The parameter is unavailable when the load image is set to user initiated. Program mode. Run. Load mode only applies if the key switch is in remote position when loading. If the controller is in run program, the controller will return to that mode once load is complete. That's after you do the load, what mode is it going to return to? The controller key switch always has priority over the load mode. Safety application. Lock or unlocked. Well, I didn't see anything that elaborated on the question I had. I don't see the answer in here, and I don't really want to get hung up on chase a goose on this. Let me X that out. Let's go back to okay. Do you see the screen again?
Yes, sir.
The non-volatile memory. So under load image, I was not sure what load on uninitialized memory. That sounds like it's referring to something that would be maybe a memory that something was wrong with, that it didn't initialize properly. That's my best guess. I'm not exact. I think that's what it would mean. So maybe that would mean that whenever something's wrong and the memory doesn't initialize right, it would go ahead and load from the SD card into the PLC. But here, user initiated is what I prefer to use, you know, because then you have to physically go in there and trigger that. So we're going to pretend now that something went wrong on the PLC and you had some bad weather and there was lightning in the area, and you had a little glitch, a little lightning strike to the building, and it corrupted the memory in here. It didn't actually blow the PLC. It didn't burn it up, but a glitch got in there and it messed up your flash memory, got corrupted to where it's not going to run. And maybe you got a red light fault flashing and you're not able to clear that fault, you know. So let's say you get in here and you got a fault light flashing, and I'll exit out of here just for a second. Maybe you got a fault light flashing, you go under faults here, and you're not able to clear them. You know, you got some fault that shows up, and it may refer to a hardware fault. And you see the clear button there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe when you clear it, maybe it doesn't clear. Or under minor faults. Minor faults could be, you could see one of these actually set right here. A power up bit, IO fault bit, program fault bit, watchdog fault bit, non-volatile memory fault bit, energy storage, diagnostics, alarm, whatever. You got these different fault bits that may be triggered, you know, under minor. So if you're not able to clear a fault, then that may be a time that you want to go in there and load from the SD card back into the PLC and see if you can clear that. You know, that'll be worth a try. So we're going to do that now. We're going to pretend that the machine won't run. You got a fault light you can't clear, and that the fault that you saw in the fault tab was giving you a hint that there may be something wrong with the memory here. You know, with your non-volatile memory, something could be going on here, or maybe a hardware fault. So let's say machine ain't gonna run. We're gonna copy it from the SD back inside here, okay? Y'all ready? Everybody ready? Everybody still with me, or is anybody with me?
Hey, Mr. Durwood.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit load. We're gonna load from the SD card back into the PLC. Hit load, and it's gonna tell us again. It's gonna cut off communication with servos, and it's gonna bump us offline when it does it. So take a look up here in the camera. You're gonna see these lights change, and that SD light's gonna light up again. The bottom two green lights are going to flash like that when it does a transfer from the SD back into your internal memory. So we're going to go with the load. You ready? One. Okay, here we go. Yes. So you see that the SD light blinking?
Yes, sir.
It blinked. Now it's transferring from the SD back into the internal flash memory, and it bumped us offline. So let's wait for these lights, some of them green lights come back on. It's after it does it, it's transfer and then reboot, and then let's see what we got then we'll run it. See that blinking again?
Yep.
Uh-huh. So now it's going through a boot up process. Okay. So your OK light's on, your IO light's on, your OK light's on, your link 1 light's on, your network status is blinking. So I think it's going to let us back on now. You ready? So
yep.
We hit the OK button, and then we're going to say we're going to try to get back online again. And it can't let us on, but we're in program mode. And so we're going to go into run now. And so now you're back running again. Y'all see the timers running there?
Yep.
Okay. So it was successful. We were able to transfer to the card, to the SD card, and then back from it back into here when something got corrupted, like maybe a lightning strike, or somebody could have made a, you just never know. Sometimes you can have devices like motor starters that can cause glitches in the system, that can cause spikes. I know we talked one time about the coils on these motor starters. Motor starter coils can generate electrical noise, and when that noise happens, it can travel from the coil wire back into the PLC itself. So it can actually go upstream from the starter when the starter kicks in and disengages. Usually, whenever you cut the starter off, and that coil, the magnetic field around that coil collapses. When it does, it generates a spike, and that spike tends to want to run back up to the PLC and travel back into it, and maybe glitch out the program possibly. It ain't likely, but every now and then it can happen. And I think that's what happens sometimes when you don't have if you don't have proper surge protection. So for instance, here on the coil, that's a coil, the A1 and the A2 terminals right there is the coil connections on that starter. I don't have any surge protection on there, but let me just show you something that would be used, that was mentioned in the book. Now, do y'all see that little container right there I have? Let me open that up. I'm going to show you something. These are surge protectors that you put them across coils. So let me take some tape off of that. Now, do you see down in that little box there, those little red devices there?
Uh-huh.
That is a surge protector. So let me go large screen on the camera here. So do you see that little 2-wire device there?
Yep.
That's called a MOV. A MOV is a metal oxide varistor. This stuff is covered a little bit in our book. It's covered more in motor controls. But what it does is you get these, and they're rated like this, and here's rated for 130 volts. The part number, and you can't make the part number out because it's kind of, you're not going to be able to make the part number out on there because of but there's a 130 in there in the part number on that MOV. And so what happens is you put this in parallel. You see the 2 leads right there? You would put one lead, you would, let me bend them apart here. You would physically go there and wire it right across the coil. So you would put one lead on A1 and put the other lead on A2, and you would literally screw it in right there on the starter coil itself. You would put it right directly at the coil, and what would happen is whenever the coil engages and disengages, if there's a spike that's generated by the coil that's above 130 volts, which is the rating on this, whatever's over 130 volts actually gets chopped off. It gets cut or clipped. This dissipates any spikes that are above 130 volts, dissipates them as heat. And it doesn't let that spike go from here back up to the PLC and run the risk on getting back in, running back this way to the processor. Now, what stops it would be inside of that module there, that output module, you've got optical isolation that y'all studied about. You remember optical isolation? Y'all talked about? These modules have optical isolation in them so that the output is optically isolated from the CPU through the optocouplers that are in there, the photo tracks and such as that. So that spike, even though it does try to get back in and run backwards, it tries to get back into here. When it gets to the opto isolator part, that spike is actually stopped. And it can't jump that gap in there because it's a photoelectric gap in there per channel that doesn't let that spike get back to the CPU. But you still want to install these, because if you don't install them, the spikes can actually go in and actually damage the main output circuit here, the relay output. It can damage them and make them die prematurely. Not the CPU, but the actual output itself that's downstream from the optical isolation part. So you can have an output that actually go bad if you don't use these. So there's different styles of them. Some of them look like this. Some of them are in a box form like this. This is a suppressor that you would wire those two wires across that coil, directly across it. That's called an RC network. It's a resistor and capacitor inside that little box that actually absorbs spikes. It dissipates spikes as heat. And then if you have they use the RC networks, they use the MOVs. If it's an AC coil, if it's a DC coil, for DC coils, like 24 volt DC coils, they use diodes. So these little diodes right here are used, and you would put that across the coil there. We talk about that in motor controls. I won't get into that here, but that little diode is actually like a suppressor that works if that coil actually runs on DC voltage. So I've got these, and when you take ELC 117, we get into using these. It's covered in the book in detail. Okay, so that's just a reason how you could possibly have a spike that may corrupt memory. It could come in through inductive devices like coils, motors, things like that. So let me put the camera down just for a second. Okay, so I've got that took care of. Now, is there any questions so far about what we just did? Okay, so everybody's good as far as storing from your internal memory into PLC, your non-volatile out to the SD, and then the ST back in. Everybody good?
Good to go.
Okay, good. So the next thing would be, when you get a brand new PLC out of the box, let's say if this PLC was to go bad, lightning hit it, or it just, it hit its life expectancy and it died. Or you had a fault that you never could reset no matter what you did. And when you tried to copy the program back into it, it didn't accept it, or for whatever reason. Maybe you just can't communicate with the PLC. You can't communicate with it at all. And it's just impossible to ever recover the machine. So you replace the PLC. So let's say that you've got a brand new one that's been put in. You've got the wires hooked back up to it. We went over the other night as far as the little clips in the back of it, the Dan rail clips. Y'all remember that? The little black clips that snap in place, how you physically mount it. So we went over that. Now let's go over now with a brand new one out of the box. How do you put firmware in them? Because with Allen Bradley, you got to put firmware in any of them that are brand new. So I'll put the camera back up top that you can see what's going on. Okay, y'all see the front pretty clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go. Now, so you're seeing the Ethernet cable and then the USB port, and you're seeing all the LEDs and everything. Let me get the proper cable for it. It's a USB cable I got to grab. Now, so do you see, let me get back out where you can see the actual cable itself. So do y'all see this cable I got in my hand here?
Yes, sir.
So here you got a USB.
Basically like a printer.
It is. It's a printer cable. You can go to Walmart and buy this. This is a USB-A on this end. It's just a standard USB-A on this end. That's a laptop end with a regular A. And then the B end, the square end with a little rounded, like a D. It looks like a D, you know, kind of. It's got a flat side and then kind of a D-shaped rounded end over here, the little chamfered corners there. So this is called a USB type B. So this is a USB-A, USB-B. And so when you get a brand new PLC, you install it. It's not going to have a usable operating system in there that's going to be current. They put like a real base level in there, like a 1 point something or other, to where you're using a version 32, what we're using in this class. It comes with like a version 1 point something in there, and so that you have to put a new version in there. We're going to do it through this USB. And also, if y'all remember, we went over another night how we go in through USB to actually set up the IP address for this. Do y'all remember seeing that one night?
I think I recall.
Yep. You go in through the USB to initially set up the IP address for that port, because the IP address is not going to be set to what you need it for. Okay. We can go over that again if you don't remember seeing it. So, but the first thing, let's go over how do you do the firmware. So I'm going to connect. First of all, when I connect to that, you're going to see a driver load automatically in links. This cable triggers an automatic driver that pops up that recognizes this. It recognizes what's going on, and then you don't have to actually pull the driver up. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug the USB-A into my laptop, and I'm going to leave the B end unhooked until I get links pulled up that you can see it. So I'm plugging in the USB-A end now into the computer, but I've got the B end disconnected right now. I'm going to get links on the screen that you can see links, and let you see how the driver actually kind of pops up by itself. So let's see. I got to go out of that. Let me move. Go back. Give me a second to get the right screen up here. Got so many screens going on. You get lost in this stuff, man. Okay, let's go back out. Now, I'm going to RS links now. Do y'all see that link screen?
Yep.
Now, the RS links, it came from your Links Classic icon. I had to go ahead and trigger that and get that screen pulled up. Okay, so does everybody see the link screen?
Yep.
Now I'm going to go under the third icon for configure drivers. And right now it says that the virtual backplane driver is running right now. I'm going to delete that. Now you watch what happens. You're going to see a driver pop up here automatically when I plug in that cable. So I want to get my camera where you can see the camera and this at the same time. So let me do there. Now you see the you see my hands in the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Now there goes the USB cable. To watch the RS link screen when I plug this in. That driver should pop up automatically. You ready?
Yep.
So we're getting ready to plug in right now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There. You see it?
There it goes.
There it went. So
Yep.
when you plug it in, you do not have to go in there and pull that driver up under this window here. You see, you didn't have to go in there and get it like you did on everything else.
Right.
That's the only driver that's really a plug and play driver that pulls itself up. Okay. So from that standpoint, that driver there is running. So we can go ahead and X that out, and I'm going to minimize links and go back to studio. So let's go back to studio. So do you see the studio screen now, the logic running?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's go offline here. So we're offline like we would be with a new controller there. So there, if you go under tools, you got a utility called control flash. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Now this is a utility that lets you download firmware to the PLC. But what I found out is that, everybody see that? Can everybody see the control flash screen there?
I think you froze.
Okay, let me hit stop share. How about now?
Yeah, there you go.
Control flash.
Yep.
So control flash is a utility that's built in there that lets you put firmware from your laptop into the PLC. But here's what I found out. This particular spot in the software does not have access to version 32 of firmware. It's got access to older versions for some reason. So look, I'm going to hit cancel here. Here's where you got to go to get the newest version of firmware to go. It's actually in your software, but I'm going to show you where else to go get it at. Now, do you see the logic screen now?
Yes, sir.
Now watch this carefully. Under tools, you've got control flash. But look, what you got to do to get the newest version of firmware for this PLC, what I found out was, for some reason, you got to go down here and to start. Do you see my start menu down here at the bottom left?
No.
You don't?
Nope.
So you're not seeing, do you see the program?
Yeah, I see the program.
But you're not, okay, now look, let me, okay, I'll fix that. Now you see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Do you see my laptop?
Yep.
Now watch. I'm going to go in here now and hit. Let me go back to where I was. You got to go and hit the start menu at the bottom left. You see the start icon?
Uh-huh.
You got to hit that one. That's start. Hold on. Start. Now, do you see that pop up there?
Yeah.
The list there? It's kind of it's blurry. I know it's blurry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
If I change the angle, how about now?
It's still blurry.
Let me find the angle that you might be able to look at. How about now?
A little bit, but not much.
If I scroll down, I'm going to go to Rockwell Software.
Okay.
Now look, you see I'm in here now, right? I hit the start button down here, and then it brought up all the programs. Now I'm going to switch back over where you can actually see it directly off of my screen. Okay.
Okay.
So you know how I got in there? I hit the start button. Now watch closer.
Yep.
I'm going to do a screen share where you can see everything in detail. Now, do you see? Now, do you
Nope.
see the black column over there that they are going through the programs?
No, all it's showing is the logic.
Okay, hold on. Let's get it fixed. Let's go back. How about now?
Yeah, there you go.
So you see,
Now it says
all
connect.
the programs.
Yeah.
Is it look clear?
Yeah.
Now,
Because right now you're sitting on easy schematics. Well, the flash
Right.
programming now.
So now we're going to go on down to look. You see where it says Control Flash and
Yep.
Control Flash Plus.
Okay.
Control Flash Plus is what you got to use.
Okay.
It's in your software. And look, you can actually drag that icon out to your desktop. You can actually drag that out there. You can take that icon and drag it out to your desktop if you get everything set just right. So if you look, do you still see the left portion over here?
Yep.
You do?
Yeah.
You see where I'm at on Control Flash?
Control Flash Plus.
Right. So you can right click, pin to the start menu, or you can say click and drag and bring it out here and then let go of it. And then it's going to have it out there on the screen. You see that?
Yep.
So you can drag it out there that way. Let's go back in. Go back down. It's under Flash Programming Tools. So if you don't see all of this, then you'll see. Do y'all see Flash Programming Tools?
Yep. I found it on mine.
Right. If any of you that are watching, please try this. Go under your Start menu at the bottom left and look for Flash Programming Tools, and then go under Control Flash Plus. The plus.
Yep. Got it.
There's also Control Flash Plus Quick Start.
Quick Start.
There's a Quick Start.
Is that basically the same thing?
Well, the Quick Start is a guide that tells you that explains Control Flash.
Oh, okay.
It tells you how to use it. The actual utility itself is right here. So if I hit
Control Flash Plus.
Control Flash Plus, this is the version. Control Flash Plus is what it takes to get the newest firmware down into your PLC. You got to use Control Flash Plus.
Oh.
Now, so do y'all see the screen there that says Control Flash Plus, select browsing from path? Do you see that?
Yep.
So if you go under manage firmware, Go under manage firmware. Do you see that?
Yep.
And you're going to pick your controller, and you're going to find out what versions are available. So we're going to go into 1769. Do y'all see me scanning through all those PLCs?
Yep.
So you go, this is the one we're looking at right here. So you see here, it says it's 1769 L24 L24ER QB1B. Now,
yep.
These are the firmware revisions that you can put in that PLC. You can put as old as version 20.19.98 or 21.1149 or 32.011 or 32.013. That's the newest version right there. You see that?
Right.
Okay. So
yep.
that's the newest version that's available. Now, you can go under flash devices. Do you see the Ethernet right here?
Yep.
This is looking a little bit different here than where I had been at. I think I'm in a different spot than what I had been. But your point, you see the IP address right there?
Yeah.
I'm going to hit OK and see loading firmware kit. So do you see now where it's giving you the processor number and the program that's in it right
yep.
now?
Yeah.
Now, if I click this, you see where I clicked it in blue?
Yeah.
If I hit next, it's going to go through a process of upgrading firmware. Now, I don't particularly need to do that because I've already done it. Okay.
All right.
But actually, it's not going to hurt to do it. We can actually do it so you can actually see the whole process. So that's fine. We can actually go ahead and do it. Does everybody see what's going on?
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to hit next. Warning one device. Read and understand all the warnings in the status column before beginning the flash operation. Attention, if the secure digital card it's giving a warning about the card there. Let's see what.
Hey, go down there at the bottom where next to flash, see if that does anything. See where it says one warning?
Yeah.
Will let you do anything down there?
No, but it's not an issue because it's during the update, modules will be unable to perform their function. Make sure that all of your equipment controlled by the modules is in a stop state. All your critical safety functions not affected. Please make sure that your communications bandwidth is available. It's fine to go ahead and do it. So we're going to hit that close there and hit flash. Y'all ready?
Uh-huh.
Everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Y'all see the flash button there?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, bam, flash. So you see where it says it's flashing one device there?
Yeah, transmit failed to begin update.
It said it failed. Let's see why. And it may have something to do with because we were actually in run mode and we got an Ethernet cable plugged to it. It's not in the proper mode to accept an update. Manually reset the module. So the PLC is in the wrong mode. Let's go back out. Let's go back out to Studio. And let's go offline. Hold on. Let's go back out to here. Let's see where are we at. Yeah, the PLC is actually running right now. It shouldn't be trying it with it actually running. Let's go back out to here. Do you see the logic screen now?
Yep.
Now we're offline as far as the laptop, but look at here. You see the light still running?
Yeah.
It's actually running right now. That's not, we don't want to be doing that. So let's go back online again. And let's put it in program mode. So I got it in program mode. It's not cycling now. Okay. So let's try that one more time. We're going to go back, pull up the control flash again. I've got it minimized down here. Okay. Do y'all see the control flash screen now?
No, sir.
All right. Let me back to there. How about now?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to click here again or hit done. So now we're going to try it again. Do y'all see the blue up there where it's giving me an option to do it again?
Yeah.
Y'all see the next button?
Yep.
So we hit next, warning, hit close, hit flash. Flashing one device. You see over here, wait for transmitting update 2 of 4. You see that information over there?
Yeah.
You see the blue bar?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to move the webcam over to here, that you can see the LEDs. Y'all see the LEDs right there?
Yeah.
So right now you see the red light flashing at the bottom left there.
Yeah.
You got a red light flashing. You've got network status flashing, link 1 flashing, but the OK light is red flashing. So it's actually doing the transfer right now. Everybody see that?
Yep.
It's transferring update 2 of 4, block number 148. I actually blocked 1487 out of 1487. Do y'all see the pop-up that came up there? Now, it says waiting for, do y'all see that message there, waiting for transfer delay?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna let it sit right there. And if you see the LEDs in the webcam, this is evidence here something's going on, and then you watch the screen. So it's doing block 4, update 4 of 4, block. Yeah, it's got 5,000 out of 17,000 blocks. So it's a really large operating system. Basically what we're doing right here, we're putting an operating system in this thing, kind of like putting Windows in a laptop. You know, when you buy a laptop, it's already got Windows in it, but we're you know, nobody's ever had to put Windows in a laptop, right?
Nope.
It's already got it. Well, with the PLC, with Allen Bradley, the way they are nowadays, and years ago you didn't have to do that. Years ago it came with an operating system in there, and you just plugged it in and just run with it. But nowadays they update firmware so often that they want you to put the newest version in there when you get one out of the box.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. Or if you choose to put version 21 in there to match other machines in your process, if you wanted to, you could put an older one in there. But it tells you in the firmware inventory list that we saw your choices. So it's doing something else now. It's going through another transfer delay and polling for power up now. So you see in the screen now, you've only got one red light on. You see here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Polling for power up, time left until about 120 seconds. You see that pop up there?
Yes, sir.
So it's going through a reboot process now, or power up. But just remember that anytime that you put a brand new one, anytime you put a brand new one in, you got to put firmware in it, like what we're doing right now. So you can't just slap a PLC on there and download the regular program. You got to put firmware in there first, and then go in through the same connection. Well, then you would, after you do the firmware, then you download your machine program into it, download firmware into it. Once you get your program into it through USB, then you set the IP address of the Ethernet port, and then you can run. So
Flash attention.
So it succeeded. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Great. So keep this in mind now. This video is going to be on YouTube. I'll upload it later tonight on YouTube, so that at any point down the road, if you want to go back and watch it, you can. So we're going to hit close.
Right.
We're going to hit close. It said flash finish. You got version 32.013 in there now, and that's the IP address that it went to. And we hit close. And we hit done. But again, if you were going to do some other model number of PLC, you go under manage firmware and you find the PLC model number, whatever it is, and then it gives you the firmware versions that you can get a hold of.
Right.
Of a lot of different PLCs that Allen Bradley makes, a lot of them, a whole bunch of them in there. So, any questions at this point?
No, sir.
No.
Making good sense?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Good. So I'm going to hit I'm going to X that out. And then let's go back to studio. So your next step will be this. We've still got our we've got our USB cable right here plugged in. See that? We're going to download our program through USB first. Once we get it in there, then we're going to set the address of the Ethernet port that's down here. We're going to set the address of that Ethernet right there. Everybody got it? So you got to go through USB to configure Ethernet. So you got to have one of these cables ready, at all times. So go back to studio. So now watch closely. We're going to go into communications, who active, and look, we're not going to go through Ethernet because we're going to pretend that Ethernet is not even set up yet, okay?
USB.
All right.
Look, we got to go through USB. You see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Go through USB. And then you
Process.
see the controller. You see that?
Yep.
3, 4, 5, 8, 2, 3, 2, 0, 1.
When you highlight the controller through USB, then you can say download. Everybody got that?
Yep.
So you got to download through USB first.
Please leave your name and
Hit
number,
download.
and we will return your call as soon as possible.
I'm glad we're doing this tonight, and I'm sorry we're waiting till the last night to do it, but at least we're doing it. So it downloaded, but look, and you see what mode are we in now?
Remote program.
Remote program.
Right. So we're going to go to run.
Yep. Run mode.
So now you're back running again, and as you can see, your lights are changing. See that?
Yeah.
So we successfully loaded firmware. We successfully downloaded the program through USB, but now we've got to set the IP address. So let's get the camera set back up there again. Now you can go online by way of USB, but then you're not going to have access to the network, okay? So right now, say it again.
I thought you wanted to change the or set up the IP address. Don't you come to the Ethernet?
We are, yeah. Who's that, Victor?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Great. So look, so at this point, we are, you would go down to Ethernet.
Yeah.
And right click and hit properties. And right now it's already set up. But let's say, for instance, that it was not. If I go in here, when you say manually configure IP settings, that's where you manually put them in. Now we got 130.130.130.200, and then a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Now that's something that there's a lot to be said about that. I get into that a lot in ELC 215 in January. We'll get into it more. But the main thing is that the IP address, the first three sections of it has to be the same of every other device in your network. But then the last section of it has to be at least one number different from any other piece of equipment in the network. So in other words, the next PLC or next drive will have to be, say, 201, 202, 203, or something, anything but 200. But the first three sections of your IP have to be 130, 130 in this case. The only reason I picked that's because that's what it is at the school in our automation system that's in our shop. And I could actually make my own network and make these numbers be something different, whatever I want to be. And then the first three sets will have to be the same in every PLC in that network. And then the last section will have to be different by one number. The subnet mask has to be the same in every device in the network. So over here, if it's this, then it has to be the same exact mask on every PLC and every drive in that network. The same, not different by one number, but identical. So just think of it like this. A mask is something that everybody has to have the same mask on to get in the network. And there's a lot to be said for breaking them numbers down into binary. If you break them down into binary, there are a bunch of ones and zeros in there. There's like, you have eight ones and zeros for each section here, and it would represent, the 255 represents 8 ones, and this represents 8 ones and 8 ones and then a 0. That binary set, when you see it in a binary form, is actually it's a code or a filter that you got to use for every device to be able to get in the network. It's actually a filter. And anyway, without getting into all the details there, wherever the 0 is, it tells you that this section here, there are 255 available IP addresses available in this network. By there being a 0 in here, there are 255 individual IP addresses that you can have. 200, 201, and it could be, you could have 255 different devices in the network because there's a 0 in the mask over here. Now, that, again, there's not a lot of time to elaborate on that, but in a nutshell, when there's a 0 in there, you have all of those numbers are available over in here for different particular equipment, PLCs and drives and stuff, and servos in the network. So you can have up to 255 devices in this network because there's a 0 in there. So any questions at this point? And I know this is not, let me just slow down a minute and see, is there any questions at this point right now, what we're seeing here? at Smithfield Packing, Victor, your address is going to be totally different. Now, your mask might be the same, but if you have a 0 here and a 0 there, then you've got a whole lot more possibilities of node addresses out here in these addresses. You can have a lot more devices in there if you have 2 zeros at the end.
As far as I know and I've seen, it's the 3 255, like 255, 255, 255.0. But sometimes we do have gateway address.
Right, the gateway address is going to be something that's going to let you get out of that network somewhere else.
Yeah, that's so that's for like Mr. Russell. He can look at it at his house.
He can look at it at his house. So
yeah,
a gateway address will be hooked up to a router that could go out to the internet, and he can be at home and he can dial in through that gateway and see it from home.
Yeah.
Yep. But bottom line, when you set these addresses, you've got to set them to exactly what they were before the PLC went bad. So you've got to know what they were. And if you don't know what they're supposed to be, somebody has to tell you. Or you got to have a diagram, you got to have a document somewhere, a schematic, you got to have something that tells you what the IP address is supposed to be for that PLC and the subnet mask. This is not something that you would be deciding on your own when you're replacing a PLC that's an existing PLC. You've got to use the same exact node address, IP address that was there originally, or else you're going to have an address conflict with something else in that area in the plant. And so don't ever take a risk on that. Never guess at it. Make sure that you get the right numbers. So look, if you look at here, I'm going to hit obtain IP addresses automatically. So if I hit this, do you see that go gray out? That it got grayed out there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you notice here, and I hit apply, you see what it did? It got rid of everything in there. Do you see it?
Yep.
Now, obtaining automatically is going to be your laptop is set up to obtain an IP address automatically. Your laptop gets an IP address off of the internet from your internet provider. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here, when you're dealing inside of a factory, you got to manually set them up. So we're going to go manual, and then we're going to put the addresses in. So what do we put in here?
130, 130, 30.
130. Hold on a minute. My mother's got to get through here. Hold on a second. Got a brief interruption here. Hold on, guys. Okay. They can hear what's going on, so be careful.
Can't say
don't say it. Okay. My mother locks up the cats at night when she goes to bed, and then she comes back here and uses this bathroom back here where my studio's hooked up. So the 130, and then what do we have in that last set there?
I'm not for sure. I think it was 200.
It was 200. And then how about the mask?
255, 255,
255, 255, 255, and then 0. Again, if you take that subnet mask and convert it into binary, you look in chapter 5 in your book, and I wish we had time to get into it, but we don't. But 255 is when you look at a binary word that's 8 ones. Hold on, let's go. Let me get the camera back where I can talk to you here. When you look at a number 255, that's in decimal. So the subnet mask is showing you in a decimal form. If you convert 255 to binary, the way it really operates inside there, The 255 is equal to eight ones. It's 8 ones in a row. It's an 8-bit section with all ones in there. And when you convert all of those ones in binary format back to decimal, it equals a decimal 255, okay? So here you've got 8 bits here, 8 bits there, eight ones, and then you have 4 zeros. In binary, that 0 decimal is 4 zeros in binary. So you got a 32-bit, whenever you convert that mask over to binary, it's a 32-bit word that consists of 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 ones, and then 4 zeros. Okay. Now, that 0 in there represents, when it's in there that way, it's basically, in a nutshell, means that you can have 255 different addresses in the last section of the IP address. In a nutshell, that's kind of what it means without elaborating and getting in a lot of detail with it. Is Nathan or Kenneth out there still with us?
Hey, this is Nathan. I'm on here.
I'm here too.
Now, so do y'all agree with that? Am I saying that right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, basically, you have a network address, you have a broadcast address, and you have 254 usable IP addresses for that subnet mask. All the zeros. Yeah, I mean, you can say 200. There's really 256 possible addresses,
Right.
and 254 usable addresses.
Okay, so 2 of them are not usable.
Yeah.
Okay, I never heard that.
Yeah, the 0, the very first one, designates the actual network itself, and then the 255 designates if you need to send a broadcast out, like for DHCP, it uses that address to broadcast to everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
So 2 of those are not available, and I'd never heard that. Okay.
Right.
I've not had an IT class. I've had plenty of PLC classes, but not an IT class. So basically, you could start that address over there not at 200, but you could start it down at a .1, and you could go from .1 up to say .254. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So Victor, what we're saying here is this: you could have 254 PLCs, or a combination of PLCs, drives, servo amps, and panel views. You could do, if you had a network with all of that together in an area, you could have 254 actual physical things in there. And all of those will be represented by a different last section of that IP address. Does that make sense? Is Victor still with us?
I don't see Victor on the.
Okay, maybe
list.
he may have had to get out. Let's see who's in here. We've got, okay, he had to step out evidently, but we're recording. Okay, we're recording, so no problem. So anyway, you got to manually set the IP address, and they call that a static IP address, by the way. It's static because it doesn't change. If you go through automatic DHCP, that's dynamic host controller or protocol, is that right? Or processing?
Yep.
That's where your server, that your internet provider is going to give you an address, an IP address, and it's sort of leased to you, ain't it, for a while?
Yeah, you set the lease on it, or the ISP will set the lease time.
They'll set the lease time, and maybe next week when you log on, it'll be a different automatic IP address, right?
Yep.
So each time you log on to the internet, when you use a DHCP for your laptop, it issues you an IP address for your laptop, for your Ethernet adapter, or for your laptop. It's issuing you an IP address for a period of time, and then the next time you go online, you could give you a different one, so you don't never know what it is. But with a closed network, say at the school or in a plant, everything is static IPs. and it does not change. So it's not dynamic. It's not the D for dynamic, but it's static. Static. It's locked in, and it has to be locked in a plant so that the PLC controllers and then your HMI screens, your touch screens, and your drives and all that stuff, everything is definite on whenever they talk to each other. Everything has to be nailed down for static. Does everything make sense that we're doing here? Do y'all still see?
Just got back. Sorry, Durwood.
Do y'all see the
Makes
screen
sense to me.
with the IP addresses? Okay. Now we're going to hit
Yeah.
change the connection parameters. Are going to interrupt connections, apply changes, yes. And then we hit OK. So it accepted that. Now I can, I can go in through Ethernet. Now we're viewing it through USB right now. You can see your ladder logic through USB. Obviously, you can download firmware through it, download your ladder logic program through USB, set your IP address through USB. But you're not going to be network connected until you hook up your Ethernet cable and then go in that way, and then all of your IP addresses are visible on the network, and then you can go online with any machine that happens to be on the network. Let me move one more time here.
I can get by.
You get by? Okay. You're not ready to? It's kind of tight space back here. Okay, so let's go look down here under. Do you see the Ethernet icon at the bottom left of the controller organizer?
Yes, sir.
You right click on the Ethernet. That's the Ethernet port. You hit properties, and it kept everything. So everything's there. Now we're not using the gateway address, but like Victor said, at the plant they're using one because Russell Martin, their engineer, their electrical engineer, he can access these things from home. He can dial in and troubleshoot when, say, if Victor's got an issue, he can call Russell and say, Russell, hey man, this thing is, I can't figure out what's wrong with it. I've tried everything. So Russell goes online through that gateway, goes online with it, and he's talking. He'll walk Victor through that instead of Russell having to come out to the plant at 1 o'clock in the morning, or maybe from on vacation. He can do it from anywhere in the world. So, so we hit OK, and then we're going to go back out through communications, who active, and look, I'm going to get rid of the USB driver. I'm just going to delete that, okay? So I'm going to hit, I got to go back out to links to get rid of that driver, just to delete it and show you that you're definitely not going through USB here in just a second. So let's X this out. I'm going to minimize this screen. Actually, I'm going to pull up the link screen. So do y'all see RS Links screen or not?
No.
I'm going to hit, let me redo the screen share. Okay, do you see links now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go under the third icon for configure drivers, and I'm going to hit the AB VBP driver, and I'm going to hit stop. Cannot be stopped. Let's go offline, and then we're going to stop the driver. So I'm back out to the logic screen. Let me get you back where you can see that again. Do you see the logic screen again?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we're going to hit offline now. Did y'all see what happened there? It went offline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go back to RS Links. You see links again?
Yep.
Yes.
Third icon, configure driver. I highlight the VBP driver and hit delete. Cannot be deleted. Let's hit stop. Stop. Cannot be stopped. Why not? Stop. It ain't gonna let me stop it. Okay.
Is it because you're still plugged into it?
Well, maybe so. I know one thing. I think if I let me shut links down and then start links back up again and see if it'll let me do it. I think that may be the issue. Stop. Cannot be stopped. I just don't want to unplug it while it's communicating. Let me shut links off. Let me hit close. I'm going to close links. I close links out. Let's pull it back up. Go back here. Do y'all see the link screen again?
Yes, sir.
Go back under there. Let's see if it'll let us do it now. It's not going to let us do it. Okay. Let me, and I've run into this before. So look, I'm going to unplug it. I'm going to unplug the cable. Okay. So you see the camera here?
Yep.
Where I'm at, I'm going to unplug the cable now. So I've got the USB unplugged. The Ethernet, I never did unplug it, so it's been plugged in the whole time. And normally you wouldn't do that, but so let's see if it'll let us cut it off now. Cannot be stopped. Now, I'm going to shut Studio down, okay? I'm going to shut Studio down or close. Let's go back to here. We're actually offline right now. The machine, the PLC is actually still running. Y'all see the lights running right there?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back online. Go here. That's fine there. Go under. Let's go under the there. And say go online. Do y'all see the screen now that we're back online again?
Yes.
Yep.
Now, we're not supposed to have to go in program mode to do this. I know for a fact we're not. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shut links. I'm going to shut Studio down and then reboot it back up because that's how I've cleared that issue before. We're not supposed to have to do, although we could try going in program mode, we can try that. I've not tried that before to see if it would allow me to clear a driver. Now I'm going to get out of this screen and go back to well, I had actually shut down links, so I've got to bring links back up. Let's see. Do y'all see the link screen now?
Yes, sir.
Back in there and hit stop. It ain't gonna let me stop it until I shut down Studio. So I'm gonna shut Studio all the way down. So I've shut Studio completely down. I've had to do this before. I'm not sure why. So I'm gonna turn Studio 5000 back on. Let's go back to give me a minute to get it back on. So now go back to full screen. And let's go back to here and share. Do y'all see the studio coming up now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go back to here. How about now?
Yep.
So I'm offline looking at the program. Let's go back to links and see if it'll let me get rid of that driver. I'm sorry about the little hiccup here, but it's real. It's a real world hiccup. Okay. Do y'all see the link screen now?
Yes.
Stop. It let me stop it, and it's going to let me delete that driver. Now, so I've been through this. I've been through this before. That you had to shut Studio all the way down and reboot it to be able to get rid of a driver, just to illustrate a point. Just to show you that we're not going through USB now. Okay. I'm sorry that it took all that to do it, but anyway. So let's minimize links. I'm going to change the screen share, go back to the logic. Now, do you see the studio screen now? Do y'all see the studio screen now, the logic?
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to go back into communications and go through Ethernet now. So you see now that the USB driver is off the slate now. And now we can just simply try to go online now. And it says there's been a change. And there has been a change. Okay. It knows that. So you can either download or you can upload. And in a case like this, let me just ask you, what would you do if, let's say, if somebody else had replaced a PLC and then they set the IP address, well, they put the firmware in, set the IP address, somebody else did that, okay? You come along with your laptop, there's been a change. Same program, but there's been a change in that it's been a different PLC itself, but with the same program in it now. What do you think is better? Do you think it's better to upload the changes up to you, or download what you got down to it?
I'd say download it to it.
You can actually do either one, because in this case, because there hasn't really been any logic changes. Now, let's say, for instance, that somebody made some logic changes, okay, that you didn't have in your offline copy. Let's say somebody added an output, they added some other function in there, or they changed a timer that you don't know what they did. But
Then you have to upload.
Yeah, let's upload. Let's upload so that we see how that upload goes. Both of them say traffic lights, but it knows it's not identical. Okay, it knows, as far as it knows, something's been done to it. So we would hit upload, and that's going to copy it from the PLC back up to you. And that's what you want to do if somebody else did a change and you're not sure if they actually tweaked some timers or did any kind of change at all. Just to be on the safe side, do an upload. And then open the program back up. And you did the upload and you're in program mode now. You see that?
Yeah.
So we're going to see, I go run now. And now you're back running now. So you're back to square one. You see your lights are running now. So you're back to where you were now. Everything's running. All right. So we've done a lot here. We've you know how to save an existing program to your SD card. That's called store, or you got load from and store to. You go into, let's go back out. I'll give you my terminology right here. Let's go program mode. when you go into the controller properties, non-volatile memory, it's load and store. Store to SD or load from SD. I want to get the words right here. So so you've gone through all that stuff, and then firmware, set IP address. Do y'all have any questions right now? Anything at all? I mean, we can. Any questions at all?
Not from me.
It's really straightforward once you do it one time, and I know you can't do it there with an emulator, but you've done a fair amount there as far as upload, download, and then you've seen this. So I'm going to upload this tonight later on to YouTube, but I'll send a link directly to your email address because I'm not sure if you'll be able to get to in the Moodle tomorrow. I don't know when they cut that off. I don't think they will cut Moodle off until probably after Wednesday because
I want to say it's after the grades are put in, so we can see what our final grades are.
Yeah, that's right. You're exactly right. That's just something I'm not sure exactly what day. My concern.
I know last semester. I want to say last semester it was like 2 or 3 days after the cutoff date.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But my concern is if I put a link in Moodle and then later on you want to go look at it, you can't see it. Everything I've done, we have been able to record every session. We've been blessed to be able to do that. I got everyone in a playlist in YouTube under my name and under ELC 128. So every lesson has been cataloged in there in a playlist. It's called ELC 128. Yeah. So if you go in there and you hit that playlist, every one of them's going to pop up. You can either go back and review them. You can share them with other people. And one like this, where a lot of our folks are not on, they're on the exam. This is a good one. This is one that everybody needs for sure. And I kind of wish I'd done this earlier, but at least we're doing it tonight. So, what do y'all think about what you saw about tonight? Is everything good and clear?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. On the security aspect, there's a little bit I can show you kind of how to get into it. And as far as I've never set one up in a plant because the plants I've worked in were not connected to the outside world. Okay, they were not connected to the internet like Smithfield Packing is or Butterball may be, but I know there are plenty of plants that are connected to the outside world because I know where Mason's at. Is Mason there?
Yes, sir.
You're connected to the internet. I know it, and you're connected to where people in Italy can access your equipment, can't they?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Mason's stuff is definitely hooked up to the internet.
Oh yeah.
They bought their bottling equipment. This bottles their wine. They bought the bottling equipment from Italy, and they help troubleshoot from way over there, which is I think is kind of amazing. But anyway, and they've already got your security stuff set up, Mason. They've already got it set up, and so I'm no expert on that stuff, but I'll show you a little bit here. Can you see? Well, again, let me show you. Let's go out of this. Now, do you see my laptop?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to move over to here, and I'm going to hit the start menu in the bottom left. Y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I feel like I'm drunk doing this. If I hit that, what I'm doing, I'm screwing around with the image, not the actual real laptop here. So if I hit that, do y'all see the list of programs pop up?
Yeah.
Now, Now I'm going to do a screen share and then show you from that point where. So let's go screen share. All right, let's go back. I got to switch this. Do y'all see the programs on the left now?
See the logic?
What? Do you see a black column over there that I'm scrolling up and down now or not?
No, sir.
You don't? All right, let me figure out how to get that on there. Back, share. How about now?
Yeah.
You do? So
Yeah.
you see the programs I'm looking at now?
Yep. Easy Schematics Pro, Firefox.
Now go on down to Rockwell Software. So do y'all see Rockwell?
Yes, sir.
You go under there, and there's a lot of Rockwell software that you got on your laptop that we ain't talked about. There's a whole bunch in there. There's a whole pile that it ain't never going to leave your computer. It's always going to be there. You just, somewhere down the road, if you ever use 90 days worth of it and it actually stops letting you run it, you can still have it turned back on if either you or your employer pays a fee to have the activation key that you go in there and reactivate. That software is always going to be there. But if you go on down to, you see Factory Talk Administration Console.
Mm-hmm.
So you click that. And then I've got you don't see the new screen, do you?
Says select factory talk directory.
Do you see where it says network?
Yeah, it says select the directory you
Right.
want to use, network.
Okay, good. So if you have a choice there of network or local. You're going to choose network and hit OK. Then you'll see it populate over there in your Explorer.
Yep.
You see that?
Yep.
So if you go under users and groups, you can have a group with engineers, administrators, and maintenance personnel.
Huh.
You go in there and you can add users. Do you see where I'm right clicking on user?
Yep.
You can go in there and you can add a Factory Talk user and set people up specifically to be able to have access. Now, here, the Rockwell guy, he set one up here remotely called test, a user called test, okay? And if you right click on there and hit properties, hold on, group membership. It's in the maintenance group. Let's go back out. So it's in the maintenance group. So if I go in there, there's one member in there that's called test. You see that?
Yep.
It's just called test. Now, in the maintenance group, if I just right click maintenance, hold on. Let me go in here. Let me get my bearings together here as far as the security tab. Let's go under user groups. Now, okay, so under user groups, where all of these are, if you hit security, and all of this in here has not been set up yet. I haven't set all this up in here. But for administrators, you can go under action, go under users. Action. You can go in here and allow or deny. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not at the right place yet.
I can get by this thing.
Okay. Let me find the spot. I'll find it in just a second. This is something I've not really messed with a whole lot. Just X that out right there. Go back into security. Right, there we go. Okay, so when you right click on this computer here, you right click here and hit security. Then everybody shows up, including this test person here. You see that?
Uh-huh.
If I click on that user that's been added to it, then look, I can go under here for him and I can allow or deny certain actions. Now, once you set up some security like this, nobody else, once you set security for a project or a PLC, nobody else can get rights to it unless they've been given rights. In other words, an anonymous log on, if I hit that, they're not allowed to do anything. You see what I'm hitting? Anonymous.
Uh-huh.
For actions, let's see, action. Let's see, action. I go under there. And go under, hold on. Now, under RS Logic's 5,000, under here, you would go into there and you would allow or deny. Right now, you have to go in there, allow or deny access to things like, let me find online, like project download. You can go in there and deny that. You can download, go online. You can allow or deny go online. You know, you can do y'all see upload there?
Uh-huh.
You can either allow or deny all of these specific things, or deny all. You can say you can deny every one of them for an anonymous logon. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in there, you would block people that are unidentified by denying every function. You know what I mean? But for this guy called test, if you click it, you can deny. Do y'all see that in there? The first things are denied, but you're going to let him go online. You see that?
Yep.
So here for this one user, it's a maintenance guy called test. You're going to let him go online, but you're not going to let him modify you're not going to let him do a save as. You're not going to let him upload, create, none of that other stuff. Okay. Every action or function other than go online, the only thing he's allowed to do is go online. Let's find it again. I didn't scroll past it. Right there. You're going to let the guy go online, but that's it. Everybody see that? Everybody okay with that? Everybody still here?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm still.
So that gives you a starting point in there. Is you'd have to create users in there. If you're going to let them do a limited amount of stuff, and you're going to let them say at least go online, or maybe even you may even let them anyway, it would be up to the maintenance manager or your network administrator in the plant as to what privileges they would have. What do they know? You know, if it's somebody that's just learning PLCs and doesn't have, you couldn't trust them with doing a download, you know, or maybe even an upload. Maybe you let them do an upload and you let them go online and that's it, but never download and never modify programs. Then you could go in there and let them do upload, you know, that way if they need to get an offline copy that they didn't have, you could go in there and say, you know, switch it here and say, I'm gonna let you do an upload or I'm gonna let you go online and that's it. And you can hit OK. And that's gonna be the limitations for that test maintenance guy. That makes sense? I might be putting y'all to sleep. I might be putting y'all to sleep on. And again, this is just, I've never had to deal with this because I've never worked anywhere that you had that was connected to the outside world. They never had anything set up like that because they weren't hooked to the internet. Okay, so, but what I sent you today, I sent you two documents today. But once you get into here and you would create the users, you know, new, and you would create a user, go in that way, and set up all the guys in maintenance. And if some of them are more advanced than others, then you may allow a certain guy to download. If you lose a program, you may allow a guy to do a download, but certain guys may be just only going online, you know, if that makes sense. So. So that's one way you can specifically do it that way. And then for anonymous logon, you can just deny all privileges, period. You can just deny everything.
Right.
And that's a way that you can do it. And that would lock out everybody that's not been set up specifically. So does that help?
Yes, sir.
Again, I'm not the I'm not a security expert. But this is how you get into it. And I'll show you the documents that I sent you so you can kind of see where I'll show you the chapter that the guy at Rockwell told me where you get really the main part of the stuff. It tells you how to go in and do all this. But once you set the users up, you're going to go under the top icon in the Explorer and right click that top one and go into the security features for the entire network. And that's where all the users will be visible. And then you scroll down under RS Logix 5000 and expand that instead of going under RS5 or 500. If you were going to be doing security for the older software, you would do it under those. You scroll down to the features that's in 5000, and then you would allow or deny whatever particular things. You can deny everything and then go unclick and allow certain things so that, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
So that kind of gets you started with that. And then when you right click on a particular group, like the maintenance group, you right click, it's going to show you the users, the members that are in there. You can add more, you know, you can do that. So it wouldn't be that bad of a thing once you got into the swing of it. It wouldn't be that hard to work with, but again, it is something that it would take some work with. You have, I know Mason said that where he's at, they've got 3 levels of access. They've got operators, they've got maintenance, and then they've got engineers. Is that right, Mason? He's on his exam, I guess. But he was telling me that they use 3 different levels on the bottling equipment at the winery, and from Italy they got full access to everything, and then at the plant they got maintenance key, maintenance access, and then operator. I think that's the way he said it. I think that was the 3 levels. So anyway, So I'm going to X this out and then show you the documents that I sent you. I'll show you a chapter that the guy showed me. He said this is going to be the main place that you would go to look. Minimize this. Well, let me just show you the let's go. Where's my email? There's email. Y'all see my email there?
Yeah.
Now, do y'all see those two attachments right there?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to that one, I would recommend saving both of those. Do y'all see that screen there?
Yes, sir.
Factory Talk Security Configuration Guide. So y'all see the bottling equipment there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so you go on through here, and he said chapter 3 is the main one right there. Factory Talk Security. Security on the local directory, security on the network directory, how security authenticates user accounts, things you can secure, best practices, audit trails. He showed me some audit trails to where it keeps up with anybody that tries to do anything on the network. It keeps up with it. So you can actually go back and trace if somebody's monkeying around with things. It'll tell you who has and all that stuff. So do y'all see that pretty good there, the contents?
Yep.
Configure a computer to be a factory talk. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff. This is some pretty deep water right here. But chapter 3 on the first document, he says gives you the main information. It walks you through how to do all of this. So I can scroll through. I believe it said page 33. Scroll to page 33. Factory Talk Security. There you go. Getting started with Factory Talk Security. Y'all see that?
Yep.
The administration console, that's what I just showed you how to get into from your start menu, action groups, policies, and users and groups, tightening security. And Kenneth actually sent me another document, and I'm gonna get it and send it back out to y'all. That was maybe even different from this. Kenneth, it was a different document, wasn't it? Or was it?
I think he left already.
Okay, let's see who's. Yeah, most people have left. Yeah, most people have left. Okay. Yeah, it's getting late. But anyway, this gets you in the ballpark. Who can carry out what actions, and then and where, machine locations, and the different things like that. So, and then there's links, like when you would click that, it would take you to a particular page, things you can secure. I actually need to be out of my email to actually be able to page 34. 34. Things you can secure. Allow, deny permissions to access resources in the system, your factory talk network directory, system folder contents, applications, areas, servers, control networks, hardware devices like PLCs, drives. Anyway, The area is named punch presses. Operators belong to a group called operators. Anyway, this is deep water here, and it would really take another class to get into it a lot, but at least I've emailed y'all the information. If you'll save it to your computer and even to a thumb drive, you know, and that way, if you keep a thumb drive on you, you could get to it if you ever need to use it. I can tell you one thing: the way things are getting more and more, Eric, I bet you money that new equipment that you've got in your molding plant over here, I bet you that'll be hooked to the internet. I bet you more than likely, probably yours.
It is going to be.
Yeah,
it is going to be. We got to run a Ethernet from the main DC side over to there. We were talking about that today, matter of fact.
You're going to run it from the main plant over to the new building?
Yeah. RIT, Jason, we got to run some conduit underground for him so he can get all that lined up. Because the person that's coming to check the chiller, he'll be here the 16th. So the chiller's got to be up and ready for him and some of the machines just to see if it's all going to work correctly.
Yep.
So, well, we finally got the water, well, not the water, but we got the plumbing done to the chiller now. So we're in process.
That's good. So the chiller is going to be running chilled water through your molding machines to draw heat out of them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's at 55 psi's.
Yep. That's a lot of water pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. And we ain't got no drains. That's the thing. Bill and them were saying he don't understand why Tommy Aaron wouldn't let them do drains in there. Because if one line busts,
you're gonna have a mess.
Boy, it's gonna be a mess. Yeah. It's gonna be a mess.
Was a good plan in there. You should have had a trough system in there to work the drain.
Everybody on IPS side and DC side, everybody maintenance even said that, but you know how it goes.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yep. So he'll see when it comes down to it. If something happens.
Yep.
He'd be like, well, maybe I should have listened to them.
Because I'm surprised that whoever designed the building didn't make that required. You know.
Yeah, I know.
But like you say, now if you bust a water line, and at some point something's going to leak. I mean, we know that. So.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with, let's say, I'm gonna give you for instance, where I worked at. If your chiller went down, or your pump went down, that was circulating chilled water from the chiller to your equipment to keep the cool water going to draw the heat out. If that pump goes down, your lines are going to get hot. If they get hot enough, they're gonna melt and they're gonna burst, right? And then you're gonna have some real trouble there. So that we had automatic weld equipment that had automatic spot weld equipment with welding guns, and that happened. It happened more than one time too, man.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, and when it happens, it's a widespread plant problem. That it's a humongous problem that everything gets overheated. You get thermostats that pop open on equipment because I'm sure you're going to have thermostats mounted on your dies and your molded equipment to where, if your chiller doesn't keep it cool enough, it's going to shut something down. You know, and So, but when you get a plant-wide overheat like that, you're talking a lot of time for everything to cool down enough to run. But anyway, all I can say is you're going to need a mop bucket nearby.
Yeah, right.
you better keep a mop bucket nearby. That's all I can tell you.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's Billy's department, so Bill's going to have a lot of fun over there. We're helping him out right now, get everything lined up.
Well, I know if you'll let me know whenever they get it to a point, if you can ask around, whenever they might let me go out there and look around.
Yeah.
I would love to go out there and look at what's going on, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you got.
They're just getting all the equipment in now, so we got the robot in today.
So that's going to be.
That was pretty interesting.
Is it a big one?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty big one.
Is it? Do you know who it's made by? Is it Fanuc or ABB?
I looked at it and can't remember now.
What
I can't even remember now. I remember. It was blue and gray, I want to say.
Blue and gray? Okay.
Yeah. Can't remember the name of it now. If I think about it, I'll text it to you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
When I get to work.
Yep. I went to a robot school up in Michigan in 2002 for our company. We had a Fanuc robot, or Fanuc, and they got their robots. Most of them are yellow, and then they got some green ones out now that are called collaborative robot. So if it's a collaborative robot, it's one that a person can actually be in there with the robot, and if the robot actually hits something, it'll stop. It's real touch sensitive, and supposedly nobody can get hurt working around it. You know.
Right.
So, and they color them green with Fanuc. They color them green if they're collaborative, and if they're the standard ones like I work with, that you had to have a fence around them and limits in door features, they were yellow. But I learned, as far as, I mean, I could teach robotics. If I could, we got one robot that's in the welding shop that does MIG welding. So they have one back there. I don't have one up where I'm at, but when money comes available, I mean, I've already asked about getting a robot. So yeah, but I can teach it, and I can teach pick and place, like what you're gonna be doing, palletizing with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, palletizing.
Yep. That's a really good thing for them to do, because it's real repetitious. I mean, you got your pallet wrapper, it's automatic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a good thing to do with them. It's gonna save somebody's back.
Oh yeah.
It'd be rough. All that loading. So, and it's but they do it at the pickle plant over in Mount Olive. They got robots. They've had them for a lot of years that palletize cases of pickles, and then then the pallet goes down to a shrink wrapper, and then it goes on down further, and then a forklift gets it and takes it from there. But it's automated all the way through like that. It's neat.
Right.
Sure is. Yeah.
But yeah, that plant, the IPS side, the plastic side, is slowly shutting down. They got one machine just up and running, and that's it now. They're slowly getting everything taken apart over there and bringing it over.
Is that the plant that's over in the industrial park over to the right?
Yep. Yeah.
So they're moving existing equipment over there, and plus they got some.
Well, what happened was, you know what it is some of the new equipment before the building got built was put over there. So now we got to take that new equipment that was over there, bring it over here.
Okay. Yep.
See, they're only getting really out of that. I don't know if you've seen the big building yet, the building that they built over there.
Oh yeah.
Well,
big, yeah.
that front side is only IPS. The back side is still part of DC. They added on the DC side too.
What does IPS and DC mean? What does that mean?
DC is distribution center.
Oh, okay.
And the IPS is the plastic and metal and all that. But the plastic side is the only side that's coming to us on our side of the street. The plastic department.
So
because what they're doing now, what their goal is, instead of buying all their feed parts from the plastic feed parts from China, we build it ourselves.
You're going to be making your own feeder parts.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
They're trying to make it where we just make everything. Hogslat just makes everything themselves from now on.
That's good.
Which is smart. Which
That's
is very smart.
That's the way things should be. They
Yep.
should be made over here.
Mhm.
Then the people wouldn't be struggling so bad trying to find a job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the other hand, if all these robotics going to take over everything, I don't know.
But then people just get education as to how to maintain robots.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they become a technician. Then you just have to step up your skills.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a palletizing robot is going to replace one or two people maybe.
Oh, they'll replace it. Yeah. Yeah.
But you got to have a technician that knows how to maintain the robot, because it's going to get off. It's going to hit a glitch. And
Oh, yeah.
it's just going to happen. And somebody's got to be trained to do that. So that person that maybe lost that job loading that box, and maybe they could get a chance to get educated to be a maintenance person. Maybe, I don't know. That's wishful thinking, but somebody's going to have a job doing it. Somebody's going to have a job maintaining the robot. Or now where I worked at, the operator in the coating system, he could actually, if let's say for instance, if the robot was doing its dipping, we did powder coating, so dishwasher racks they would come out of the oven on a hang wire, and they would come out. The door would open up, they'd come out, they would go to the robot. The robot would go out there with these two hooks or grippers. It would grip two dishwasher racks that were hanging on hang wires. It would unhook them off the carrier, off the overhead conveyor, and it would go down into a powder bed and swirl them around down in a nylon powder that was like floating with air. It had air in there keeping it like fluidized, and it would go in there and it would dip it like that in a nylon powder, and then it would bring them back out and it would hang them on the carrier, and the robot would get out of the way. Well, sometimes when the robot would go out to get them, the basket will be swinging more than normal, and the robot would miss it. So then when the robot gripped, it didn't know it missed it. It didn't have sensors for that. It would go down into the bed to dip it, and it would actually rip the basket off of rip it off of the carrier, and the basket would fly out through the fence, and it would actually hit the fence and jar the fence. And when it did, it would jar the door, and then the robot would actually slam on brakes, and it would go. Robots got brakes on all the joints, So when that door limit switch jarred like that, man, that thing had a violent stop. It was like it was a bad scene when it stopped like that. And when it did, the operator knew how to rehome that robot to get it back in a perch position. And he would take a hook and go and get that basket off the floor. And it was a 700-degree rack. It was that hot coming out of the
right.
So he had to get a hook. He'd hook it and throw it out to the area where it could cool down. And he would rehome the robot and get it. So the guy that's not palletizing because the robot could still be an operator to make sure that when the robot gets out of sync or something, that it gets back in sync. So you can train an operator. You can train a person that's not a maintenance guy to do that, because the only time I ever went back there in the powder coating area was when that operator hit something that was real serious and he didn't know how to do. And so, and that happened at times, and he would normally call maintenance back there a few times a day, sometimes more than that. But then sometimes you might hit a day to where you really wouldn't get called back there because everything runs so.
Right.
So, but anyway.
Yep.
So.
All right, Durwood.
That's
I'm gonna get up off here.
I know you're tired, and I'm going to hang out. I'm going to go back into the Moodle area now, and I'm going to stay online, and I'm going to check and see how many people are working on the exam, and all that.
All right.
So anyway, well, thanks for taking the class, Eric, and let me know when they'll let me go out to look at things, and
I will.
course, I would want permission through Ronnie, you know, too, and
Yeah.
kind of keep me updated. I would love to see the equipment when it runs, and
Oh yeah.
and find out about what kind of software you're using on your Siemens PLCs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Siemens.
I would try to get the software for the school. You know, I mean, I'm all for doing that. So
All right.
you'll be internet, Mom.
Uh-oh.
Anyway. Had to cover the screen up. She's in her nightgown going by here. Don't look, Ethel. Don't look, Eric. Don't look, Mason, Connor. I remember that Ray Stevens song. The streak, it was way back. And anyway, he said, don't look, Ethel.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's streaking by. Anyway, so anyway, but I appreciate you taking the class, Eric, and everybody. And I really enjoyed having.
I'll see you next semester.
Yeah, I'll see you next semester. It won't be but a couple of weeks either, you know. So.
Yep, thanks. Yeah. It was a good class. I guess it's our last class with you.
Connor, yeah, I guess it is.
Yep.
Until I can get ELC 228 running the PLC application class, it's like a level 2 class.
Yeah.
When I get it going, or either a motor controls 2, whatever I get going more, I'll let y'all know for sure.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, we might take it just to learn a little bit more.
That sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I'm glad for y'all, man, and congratulations. Y'all done a knockout job. I remember when you guys came into the classroom the first time I met y'all, the twins, and that's the first time I've seen twins in a lot of years. Y'all are really two super guys. You get along good. That's what I like about seeing twins that get along. Is brothers sometimes can be so much rivals that they, you know, that
yeah, we've learned to work pretty well together, and I think we've done pretty good.
Yeah, that amazed me about y'all, that y'all work so good together that when one of you's working, the other one kind of automatically jumps in there to help them. And man, I know your daddy's a blessed man to have you guys. Really, I mean, he.
Oh yeah, he likes having us. We help him a lot with what he's doing.
Yeah. I sent him a message one time. I said, I asked him, I asked him what was his secret that you guys get along so good and you guys are really go-getters and all. He said, I guess I'm lucky. And I said, no, you're not lucky, man. You're blessed, man. I said, God has blessed you, man, with 2 sons like that, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. You guys are Superman, really. And I've enjoyed having you. And so we'll miss you around campus, man. You come back around every now and then and let us know you're ain't forgot us.
We'll keep in touch for sure. We'll tell you where we end up.
Do that. Yeah, you guys could pretty much go in any plant you want to, man, and I mean just really go on up, man. Any plant would grab y'all up in a heartbeat, man. But I know you're helping your daddy with the controls there, and that's good because you got good steady work, you know.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you got a lot of freedom in that too. You're not dealing with plant politics, like, not to be negative about it, but you got certain things that you know. You guys are not as restricted as you would be in plant, you know. So you get you got that element there that's a good thing.
It's nice almost being your own boss a little bit, but then in time to go out to the real world, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, thanks for taking all the classes, man. You guys have been super, man. Ruben, you man.
We've enjoyed it and we've had fun and we've won.
Everybody brags on you guys, man. Ruben does, Barney. Everybody brags on you guys. You guys are tops, man. I mean, you know, you like super duper, man. Really. So, yeah. And I'm going to click over and check. If you guys have any questions down the road that I might be able to help you with, you know, let me know. Don't hesitate to call me, you know.
Okay, we will.
Yeah. Sounds good.
We'll see you later.
Have a good one, man. God bless you, man. Thank you. And Mason, I see you're still on. How you doing there?
I'm doing all right. I just finished my exam.
You did.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everything you've done for us.
You're welcome.
You're a great teacher.
I appreciate it, man. I try to be.
Yes, sir. And, well,
Did you have any problems seeing with the screen issue? Or did you see in a program and then the answer box? You have any problems with any of that?
I mean, there was some stuff in the way, but I just moved it with the. I just shrunk the answer box a little bit.
Yeah,
And
that took care of it.
Yes, sir.
Great, man. I'm glad Eric figured that out. I hadn't even noticed that, man. I wish when Jamie had trouble with the other night, that didn't even dawn on me that would have been an issue. And I didn't notice where you could shrink that box. I didn't notice that corner. So,
yes, sir.
But he only had it on like 4 questions, and he emailed me the answers, and I manually inserted them. But,
yes, sir.
so you guys notice things that I don't notice sometimes, and I learn from y'all too.
Yes, sir.
It's all about if you, no matter how much you know, you're gonna keep learning, and there's always somebody that knows something else more, and life is just a process of learning until you as long as you live. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, so you're done? You're completely done with your program, aren't you?
That's right. This is the last one I needed.
Last one you need, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Well, if you will, when you find out what software package you're using for Siemens, if you would let me know what type of software you use in your controls, and I'm going to use that like a survey. Like at Hogslat, they're using some Siemens, some brand new Siemens stuff. Eric's going to get me some information on that, and then that's going to help me decide on making sure that I choose the right software package to add on to the college. So we cover this up. My mother's going by here again.
Yes, sir. I'll see what I can find
That sounds good. And so I would like to include Siemens, being that it's getting certain plants have it, but I want to be right on point with whatever I get as far as buying any PLCs, or at least one Siemens, to get, and then get software for everybody to use. So.
Yes, sir. If I can find out anything, I'll surely let you know.
Do that, man. Thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate you taking the class, man. And God bless you. I wish you the best.
Yes, sir. You too.
You can contact me anytime. I can help you down the road about questions with this stuff. This ain't really the end of my connection with you. I'm always open to helping you at any point down the road. A few months or years down the road, or whatever. You can, if you think I might be able to help you, get up with me, and I'll try. So.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate it.
You're a super guy, man. Thank you.
Appreciate that. You take it easy.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that's got it's 9:30. I'm going to stay on here for a while, and I'm going to check and see who is who's taking the exam, who's finished. So I'm going to do a change here. I'm going to stay online just in case somebody else logs in. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now. But if you happen to be viewing and you'd like information about our courses at Sampson Community College, you can contact me, Durwood King, at dking@sampsoncc.edu. I'll be glad to help you with information about our electrical classes, and we have other things, hydraulics and pneumatics and machine shop and mechanical classes, refrigeration, welding, a little bit of everything. Got a brand new electrical degree program starting up in August also. So just contact us. We'll be glad to give you some information, and God bless you. Thank you for watching.